Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Great to see you again. It's hope you're doing well.
I'm doing pretty good. Busy as I usually like to keep myself. So
I know you're just off the Burt Bacharach tour. I had a chance to catch it at the Keswick Theater. What a tremendous show, and that was with Russell Tompkins. And I could see that you were very touched to kind of be on stage with an idol of yours, maybe somebody you grew up listening to.
Well, it was just a fortunate sort of coincidence because I don't get back to Philly that much. And when I do, it's usually because I got a gig, and I'm not much of a socializer, so I don't really run into people. I don't have a list of people that I call. But I do recall going to a ceremony in Philadelphia. They're kind of equivalent of the BAMIs. They have the Bay Area Music Awards. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's probably the Philly Music Awards. And it was a tremendous weekend for me because I got to meet so many of the Philly legends in one go. I met the OJs, although I had met them before, but they were performing, and so that was one thing. Went to the party, met Gamble and Huff for the first time.
Wow.
Got to see people that I hadn't seen for a very long time, and I met Jerry Blavat for the first time, which was a personal thrill because I grew up listening to his radio show. So yeah, there's a whole raft of people in Philadelphia that I admire and that are part of my musical maturation. And so, yeah, it's always a thrill to have an original, come and perform with you.
Yeah. He sounded amazing too.
He did. He sounded just the same.
Yeah. So I the first softball question, obviously we tour, I caught 3 shows. Great. I was on stage with you in Woodstock when you got the key to the city and everything. Any changes to the set list? I mean, is it just going to be the same thing as the previous MeWe, or is there some adjustments?
There may possibly minor things, but nothing too major. I think the kind of the purpose is, well, part of it is I'm just in a corner. I don't have a new album yet to promote, in which case there would be new material. So anything that I do is going to be substantially retrospective in one way or another. And this particular combination of songs and the way they were put together, to me, represents there's a certain cohesion and an arc about it that makes it almost like a much more formal presentation than just a list of songs. And so it's kind of like taking people through a journey of moods and thoughts and things like that. And I'm not done with it, and we're still enjoying playing it. So,
yeah, it's a great set. I mean, you're pulling from, I think, 13 albums, if I remember correctly, maybe 14 or 15, a couple Utopia albums, and technically a Nas album if you consider Hello, It's Me. But one of the songs I want to ask you about, because you're coming to Buffalo, and it's my wife's personal favorite, is, of course, Buffalo Grass. And I'm going through the lyrics, and it's funny. I noticed you mentioned like a Hawaiian transportation company, Hele, which...
No, Hele is it's a local... First of all, Buffalo Grass is this wild grass that grows all over the place. I don't know how it got the name Buffalo Grass, but... it gets out of control, and so I used to, we bought this piece of property here, but we hadn't built on it. We couldn't afford to build on it yet, but I wanted to maintain it. So I would come out and mow essentially 2 acres of property, just mowing down this grass, this really hard woody grass. And once you mow that down, that reveals this other stuff that you want to get rid of, which is called hile or hile, which is it's got it grows flat on the ground, but it has little up-pointing thorns on it. And the legend is that missionaries came to Hawaii and they didn't want the locals like having sex on the ground anymore or walking around without shoes. So they planted this crap everywhere.
Wow.
And now it grows wild all over the island unless you are really assiduous and pull it out of the ground wherever you see it. So it's a lot of it is just this song going on in my head while I'm mowing the lawn all the time.
Yeah, it's funny because I was reading it and it's a love song, but I was thinking, is this a love song to Michelle or is this a love song to Hawaii? And I think the way that it makes sense that you say it's the grass because you talk about how you visited once, twice, 3 times, and it is a love song to Hawaii, I assume, right?
Yeah, it's more about the island and what how it ultimately affected me and lured me to stay there. So. Yeah, it is, and that's not an unusual thing in terms of traditional Hawaiian music. There's a lot of paeans just to how beautiful everything is, or to a particular mountain or hill, that sort of thing, or how great the sea is. It's people who live here, particularly people who grow up here, have this. Just have a tradition of respect and love for the land. And if you want to fit in, you have to sort of observe that, because when we first got the property, you have to have the property blessed. When you build your house, you have to have a house blessed in a traditional manner. So, and all of this is respect, showing respect for the land and the so-called deities who oversee the land.
Wow. Well, you got a great song out of it. And as I said, I knew it wasn't about Buffalo, New York. And in fact, Buffalo, New York the name comes from Boo Flow, which is like beautiful flow of a river. It's not even the animal, the buffalo. So things can be easily misinterpreted along the way. Another song, and it's interesting. This one, I was so impressed with the live version of it on the last tour. I saw it on the first tour when you performed it during the Individualists, is Woman's World. And there was a bunch of chatter the other day on one of the message groups that online groups that I'm with about, trying to interpret this song, Woman's World. So I figured I'll go to the source. I mean, I know it was the mid '90s and whatnot, but what was the inspiration behind that one?
Well, a lot of it is just, basic anthropology. It's there are, women have strengths that men don't have in many ways, and also it wasn't about any one particular event, but I have to point out, that the coda, as it fades out, is absolutely fabulous. And what I became, our family became addicted to watching that British TV program, which essentially is about 2 really crazy women who are actually, they're powerful but crazy, like one is a magazine editor, but all she does is drink champagne all day long and buy clothes and stuff. And it was just a peek at a certain kind of weird, particularly British sort of lifestyle. But I got so much amusement out of it that, and the show is essentially about their world and their antics and stuff like that. And it wasn't a lot, I guess there's Kate and Allie, things like that, where, and it was more rare then, I guess, than it is now. Now there are a lot of there are a lot of shows and cultural phenomenon that are either headed by women or they are women, like Taylor Swift, stuff like that. I didn't foresee in back then how that kind of music would sort of take over and get a grip, such a firm grip on things that we still haven't recovered from it.
Yeah, it was funny because I'd almost thought that part of it was due to, I think you got married around that time too, and for a long time, you were single, and I think there was a certain people, they get to a certain age, you think, oh, they're never going to get married, and then all of a sudden you were married. I thought maybe that was kind of an homage to that a little.
No, I actually didn't get married till after that, and when I did get married, it was kind of a surprise to all of us.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like that didn't have any effect on the song, but I have always been comfortable around women, and I know a lot of women. I know some really talented and powerful women, and it's not the first or last time that I wrote a song in sort of recognition of that power, of that particularly feminine kind of power. So
I'm wondering, do you when I assume when you prepare for some of these shows where you're creating a set list and whatnot, that you probably revisit some of the songs in your catalog. Have you ever gone back and listened to something that you wrote and thought, what the heck was I thinking when I wrote that? Like, do you just don't even remember the inspiration for it?
Oh, often. I mean, sometimes I can remember what made me write about it, and then I wonder why I did. But very early songs, were written mostly out of not necessarily a preordained formula, but when you start out writing, you write everything about love songs. Everybody writes love songs to start out with, and you're free to use the term extremely loosely. It can mean anything you want in the context of a song, from just, like puppy dog emotions to hardcore sex. It's the entire gamut. It's the most flexible topic, I suppose. And most everybody, when they start out, that's what they write about. I mean, I just finished the Backrack tour, and what's most of it about? Yeah. Most of it is about getting your heart broken by somebody, Occasionally it's something else, occasionally about a town like San Jose or something like that, But yeah, it's almost automatic, and I didn't think that much about it until I got to Something Anything and realized, I have pretty much, or it's about time that I got over this high school relationship that I had and that I keep writing about over and over again, and start to explore some other ideas. And right around that time, I started experimenting with drugs and came to the realization that I had other things in my head. I just kind of ignored them when it came to songwriting. And then I thought, why not pay attention to those? And then that's when A Wizard, a True Star happened, and everything went out the window. And at that point, I also sort of resolved. I did make a hard and fast rule, and I can't remember when it took full effect, but I resolved not to use the word love in a song unless it was being very specific about something. And so I can write a song called Love Is the Answer, but I never wrote any songs that were talking about how much I loved somebody, or something like that,
I guess I never picked up on that. I mean, I think of like a recent love song, maybe like Soothe. I mean, that doesn't say love, but it has that same kind of, it's a love song.
Have the word, but the word love is not in it
love
anywhere.
Is not in it. That's incredible.
It's I've written a whole lot of so-called love songs with the word love is not in it. And and sometimes because I'm so assiduous about it, people will get confused about what the song is actually about. Like, for instance, uh, the beginning of the end was a song that I wrote on White Knight, and I had John Boutte sing it. And at a certain point, he started ad-libbing stuff as if it was about someone who had left him, a romantic disaster of some kind. And had to all of us say, no, no, John, this song is about addiction. It isn't about a person, you
Wow.
know. It's about being addicted to something. It's not. It's all you. It's all you. There's nobody else. It's you somehow getting addicted to a thing. So, so he had to suddenly look at the song in a different way, and any sort of ad libs that came after that suddenly had a completely different meaning.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I guess, and when you're singing a song, obviously, even especially if it's somebody else's, you have to be able to sell it in a way. Like you have to. I mean, like when you just did the back rack stuff, I think it really impressed me how everybody, not just you, it really interpreted that catalog in a way that was very meaningful. Like they had a relationship with the songs.
Well, the lyrics are part of what made it acceptable, accessible. It was not simply the music, but the lyrics. And I, whenever I was, whenever I had the opportunity, would point out that this is not just the Backrack songbook; it's also in great part the Hal David songbook. And we're all familiar with that lyrics that he wrote, and that go so well with the melodies that Bert wrote. And he had a way of just, first of all, finding a memorable little hook, just the three words, walk on by, or something like that, the hook that you hung the entire thing on. And so the songs in that sense were relatable. And since you grow up with them, you're very young, much more easy to relate to them when you're young and naive and going through all the romantic trials that you're going through when you're growing up. You get older, you get a little more mellow about it, and it wouldn't have the same effect on you if you hear it for the first time, but you're older.
Yeah.
So I think that's why most of us there are some very young people in the band, of course, but most of us we're affected by it very early on, and that makes it easier to interpret. But having said that, I had a hell of a time with God Give Me Strength, and I'm just so relieved not to have to sing it anymore, because it was a lyric that I didn't relate to at all. And it's kind of understandable, because Elvis wrote the lyric for himself to sing, without any speculation that somebody else would have to sing it. So when he does it, if you're at all familiar with Elvis, it kind of falls in line with the persona that he's built for himself, angry and sometimes full of self-pity and that sort of thing. And that's what that song is about. It's just like all self-pity and anger. And I couldn't relate to it. And indeed, at a pivotal point in the song, in order for us to retain the music, in other words, attributing the music as well as the lyrics, I had to force a lyric change, just because I couldn't sing the lyric that existed. So in that sense, it's not always easy to try and inhabit the lyric of the song and interpret it sincerely. But a lot of the other stuff, it felt easy to interpret. The Chuck Jackson song, I was so young when I first heard that, that it's like in your sense memory somehow.
Well, I got a couple more, because I know we're getting up against about 20 minutes here. I can't, I mean, in some ways, I guess that sheds light on, I know you've had sort of a conflicting relationship with Hello, It's Me and maybe some of the earlier catalog songs. So it really is important to you with what you perform now. You have to be able to relate to the lyrics in a way that's not just important to the audience. It's important to you. Is that an accurate statement? So you're constructing a set list. That song still has to resonate with you for you to be able to perform it?
Pretty much. There are things that, like when I was playing with Ringo, there are things I got to do out of obligation. I can only do I Saw the Light and Bang the Drum All Day if I'm playing with Ringo. That's it. That's the extent of my repertoire as far as he's concerned. So if I'm going to play my own music and represent myself, then I have to look forward to the songs. I have to look forward to doing them somehow. And some of them give me trepidation because of, challenges maybe in the performance of them. But, I don't want to feel like I so often do when I'm playing Bang the Drum. Oh, geez, I'm in the middle of this again. And, my mind is completely wandering. I'm just, going through the motions. It's fun for everybody in the audience, and I try and have as much fun as I can with it. But I so look forward to it being over while I'm doing it.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I mean, I've seen you perform it at different stages of your career, and it's a great song. It's a fan favorite, but I would prefer the current set list that you have, just in a sense as I've sort of dug a little deeper in the catalog, but like I feel like that medley at the end, is that really sort of an obligation for promoters? Is that why you kind of tack it on there?
We have no obligations at all. I've done shows that didn't have anything like that in them, and had very angry fans sometimes as a result. A show like State or a global show, with very modern shows, and there's no way that Hello, It's Me fits into them,
Loved them, though.
And then you got people who come just to hear Hello, It's Me. Or in the case of Burt Bacharach, came to the Belly Up when I was playing there to an Unpredictable Evening just to hear Hello, It's Me, and I didn't play it that night.
Yeah.
And that was my one opportunity to meet Burt Bacharach.
That's crazy. Well, last thing I'll throw at you is kind of mentioned that online sometimes people have conversations and everything, and every fan community has their kind of active chattering. I'm just finishing up a Vince Welnick project, and the Grateful Dead fans were always very spirited and opinionated on every keyboardist.
Oh, I bet.
Does that stuff ever rise up to the surface for you? Like, do you ever hear about it? Like for instance, I think today the big controversy was, people having bootleg CD recordings that they were exchanging. I mean, does it ever get to you, or is it just stuff that you go, it comes to the territory, let the fans have their own little chatter thing? I mean, but again, you've been around them too, because you've had your Todd stocks. So
yeah, but I was in very early in the, in the interactive, interconnected kind of thing, very early. So I got to experience all the social media weirdness and stuff very early and develop my attitudes then, which is, no, you don't talk to strangers on the internet. You don't talk to people that you don't know, and expect it all to go just fine. Even amongst my own so-called fans, there are those lurkers and troublemakers and stuff like that, who, people who will just pick an argument for the sake of picking an argument because they want to proclaim that they're the greatest authority, on so-and-so, or they know what I'm thinking, Yeah. No, that's not what he's thinking. I'll tell you what he's thinking. So I know the pitfalls of that, and I know my particular limits. I don't do Facebook. I have someone manage the Facebook for me, and he does a great job of it and keeps the fans entertained. But he has to go through a regular scouring out of all the dross and all the crap, which I don't have to see. So yeah, and I'm also, I try to avoid, ego surfing. Try and figure out how people are responding to what I'm doing. I kind of like take it as play a show for the people. They seem to like the show. Okay, we're done. We've done it. I hope, and kind of the purpose of this show as well is that it doesn't end when the music stops. That you still have something to think about when you're driving home. Or something occurs to you the next day. That you took away from the show. So you get more than just the show out of it.
Yeah. Well, I definitely have. Is there anything that I've missed? Anything that you're promoting that I haven't covered?
I will be promoting Global Nation, and that's how people can socialize with me. That'll start when the tour starts. Right now, we're putting the finishing touches on everything, but Global Nation essentially is a replacement for Patronet, and it's where all of my personally archived and curated stuff will be, and where I will interact with my fans, and where they will support me through subscription.
Awesome. Yeah, I've poked on there. I am trying to install it. I probably have to call somebody to figure it out. I know Dode's on there.
Yeah, we're gonna make it all. It's all getting much easier.
Oh,
this is why we did what we called a preview so that people could just kind of get a taste of it. And we didn't have a bunch of a team of beta testers. We just kind of let whoever wanted to try it out try and help us find the flaws in it and the shortcomings in it, and it's been very useful.
Well, good, and obviously that's going to be where all the new music goes, right? You're not going to have kind of move back. That'll
be it.
In there. Well,
new
awesome.
Music and music that you've never heard as well. Music that I have, like I say, that I personally curated out of just hours and hours and hours of music and videos and other sorts of effluvia.
Awesome. Well, that sounds fantastic. I got more to look forward to, but again, thank you for everything. I appreciate you. Please give my love to Michelle. Hopefully she's doing well. And
terrific. Yeah, she's doing great. She had a good night at Tiki Niki last night. Okay.
Well,
I got to get on to the next one.
Gotcha.
Right.
Thanks so much, Todd. Thanks for everything. We'll see you in Syracuse.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.